Welcome to 5.2 video ratio tables. Make sure you're taking all the notes as usual. And here we go. Alright, to start off, we're going to start with a couple of definitions here. The first one is two ratios that describe the same relationship are equivalent ratios. You can find equivalent ratios by adding or subtracting quantities in equivalent ratios, or by multiplying or dividing each quantity in a ratio by the same number. And lastly, you can find and organize equivalent ratios in a ratio table, and that's what will lead us into example 1. Example 1 is completing ratio tables. So your directions would be find the missing value or values in each ratio table, then write the equivalent ratios. So this is a ratio table, and what it's showing us right now is we're comparing, because that's what we do with ratios. So we compare quantities, right? So we're comparing pens to pencils. So right now we're saying we have 1 pen to every 3 pencils. We need to make equivalent ratios, meaning I just need to make this number here, or this we could call it like a fraction. I want this fraction or ratio to equal 1 to 3. I want this one to equal 1 to 3. So how do we get there? You can use repeated addition with your original ratio to find the missing values, or there's other ways that you can do it too. The way I'm going to show you is I'm going to start off with saying and doing what we know. I'm going to change my color here. So we know we've got 1 to 3. How did I get from 1 to 2? So that's what you want to ask yourself. What times 1 equals 2? Well, 1 times 2 equals 2. So if I don't really have a lot of room to write here, but if 1 times 2 equals 2, I'm going to do the same thing down here to get that number. 3 times 2 equals 6. What did I use now to get all the way over to my 9? Because that's what our known is. So 3 times what equals 9? 3 times 3. So I'm going to do whatever I have here. I'm going to do the same thing over here. 1 times what? 9 equals 9. Or I'm sorry, 3. That's my fault. That should be a 3 because I used a 3 down here. So 1 times 3 equals 3. So let's just look at our table comparably. So I have 1 to 3 would also be the same ratio as 2 to 6, which would also be the same ratio as 3 to 9. This is the best way I can describe how to do it. You could do it some other ways, like doing it, you can do addition and say, well, plus 1 and find patterns. However, over the years of teaching this, we've found that this is the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to show you another example so you don't feel lost, but we're making equivalent ratios. Here we go. So I have another ratio table. This time we're comparing dogs to cats. Look at what we know. Go to the one that I have access to the next one. So I have from 6 to 12. Ask yourself this question. I can't do anything right here, can I? Because there's nothing here. Okay, so that's not even possible to try and do quite yet. Let's work with the ones that we have that we can get to. So 6 times what equals 12? 6 times 2. So if I'm going to multiply my 6 times 2, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top, and vice versa. 4 times 2 equals 8. So now I'm just saying that 4 to 6 equals 8 to 12. And I proved it because I multiplied them by the same thing. Now go to your next known. There's nothing here yet, so I can't do anything there. But I do have information from 8 to 24, because that's my next one. So 8 times what equals 24? 8 times 3. So whatever I do on the top, I must do on the bottom. 8 times 3 is 24. 12 times 3 is going to give me my last number of 36. So now I have another one equivalent ratio of 24 to 36. And I can keep creating them as I go, as long as I have my top number and my bottom number are the same. So this is the easiest way I can show you how to do it. We'll do another one here in just a second. So I'm comparing quantities again. Now I'm talking about kids to adults. So my ratio is kids to adults, and I start off with one that I know of 5 to 4. So for every 5 kids there's 4 adults. How do I go to my next one? Well, I have a known here. I know that I can figure out that 5 times something equals 10. 5 times 2 equals 10. So whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom in this case. Times 2. So 4 times 2 gives me 8. So now my new equivalent ratio to this is I've got 5 to 4 equals 10 to 8, which equals something to 32. So let's figure that one out. My known, I have 8 to 32. 8 times 4 equals 32. So whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top in this case. 10 times 4 gives me 40. So now my last equivalent ratio is 40 to 32. Okay, so example 2 is making a ratio table. This one is a word problem, so listen carefully. So you're making sugar water for your hummingbird feeder. A website indicates to use 4 parts water, okay, for every 1 part sugar. You use 20 cups of water. How much sugar do you need? So we have a 4 to 1 ratio of water and sugar. So this is our water, this is our sugar. So now we need to set up a ratio table to solve this. So the first thing I'm going to do is we have water that we're dealing with. And the water is in cups. So I'm just going to put in parentheses C for cups. And then we have sugar, which is also in cups. Because we have 4 cups of water to every 1 cup of sugar. Our goal here is we want to know how much sugar do we need to find, how much sugar do you need if you have 20 cups of water? So here's what's really nice about doing it this way. I have one unknown right now. I need to find an equivalent ratio from 4 cups of water to 1 cup of sugar. But I have one piece of information. They told me that I have 20 cups of water. How much sugar am I going to actually need? Well, just as we were just practicing, I have this part as my unknown. So because that's my unknown, I have to figure out how did I get from 4 to 20. 4 times 5 equals 20. Whatever I do to the top, I'm going to do to the bottom. 1 times 5 equals 5. So my answer to this is very simple. How much sugar do you need? You need 5 cups of sugar. And that's it. That's your answer. The ratio table took me there. I could have done it a different way by using addition, but I feel like this is quicker. It's easier. We all know our multiplication facts, so that will help you when you're making these ratio tables. So try this one out here. In example 2, you use 24 cups of water instead of 20. How much sugar do you use? So you're setting up a ratio table like you did before, but this time instead of the 20 cups of water, you're using 24. And for number 2, just complete the table. Remember, go with what you know. You know something times 5 is 15, and then go from there. And here are the answers for you.